My son's girlfriend's dad knocked on my door at 1 a.m. and said, "Your son beat my daughter unconscious tonight." I stared behind him to see her sitting in the passenger seat of their car. Split lip, bloody nose, badly bruised cheek, holding an ice pack over one eye. I looked back at her dad, who looked ready to kill. "That's not possible," I stammered out. She told me everything." He cut me off. "Police are coming in the morning." He slammed the door and walked away. I immediately ran upstairs to check on Ryder. He was asleep, but I turned on the light anyway. He woke up confused. That's when I saw the fresh scratches on his neck and forearm. "What happened with Sienna tonight?" I asked. He shot up instantly, rubbing his eyes. Nothing. We had a fight. I dropped her home. That's it." "What kind of fight?" I pressed him. He started stammering. "She was accusing me of stuff. I don't want to talk about it right now." His voice was defensive. I noticed his knuckles, red and bruised. The police showed up at 9 a.m. the next morning. A detective knocked on the door with 2 officers behind him. "We have a warrant for Ryder's arrest." Ryder came downstairs in his pajamas. He saw the police and went pale. "Dad, what's happening?" The detective read him his rights. "The victim identified you. Neighbors heard screaming from your car around 7 last night." "Dad, I swear I didn't." Ryder was panicking. The officer cuffed his hands behind his back. I watched them walk my son to the police car. I stood in my doorway thinking about the scratches, the bruises on his knuckles, the fight he wouldn't elaborate on. I visited Ryder in jail that afternoon. He was sitting on a metal bench looking terrified. "Dad, you have to believe me. I didn't hit her." "Then explain why she looks beat up. Explain the scratches and bruises on your knuckles." He leaned forward. "We fought in the car. She was yelling. I was yelling back. She hit me and I grabbed her wrist to stop her. That's where the scratches came from. I swear I dropped her home at 7:30 and left." I wanted to believe him, but Sienna's dad was already filing charges. He hired a lawyer. I talked to our lawyer the next day. She told me Sienna's testimony was bad. Sienna said Ryder drove her somewhere isolated, beat her within an inch of her life, then dumped her near her house around 10 at night. The neighbor already confirmed hearing them argue at 7. "What about the bruises on his knuckles?" I asked. The lawyer looked at her notes. "Ryder claims he punched his steering wheel after dropping her off because he was so angry." Everything he said sounded like an excuse. I went back to see Ryder. He was desperate now. "Dad, I'll take a lie detector test. Please, check my phone, my car. I didn't do it." "Then why is she saying this?" Ryder broke down. "I don't know. Maybe she's scared and confused. Maybe someone's threatening." "I'll believe you." I cut him off. "But if you're lying to me..." "Dad, I love her," he interrupted. "I would never hit her. You know me." Ryder's behavior had changed now. He wasn't defensive anymore, rather genuinely desperate to prove his innocence. And as a father, I couldn't not trust my son. I decided to investigate myself. I drove to Sienna's neighborhood and knocked on doors. The neighbor 2 doors down, a sweet lady in her 80s, had a Ring camera. I asked her for the footage and she happily obliged. The camera showed Ryder's car dropping Sienna off at 7:35. I watched anxiously as Sienna got out of the car and walked away from her house. Ryder drove off in the opposite direction. Then at 9:45, a different car pulled up. Sienna got out of this car stumbling. She was heavily bruised and beaten now, falling to the ground and crawling to her door. I zoomed in on the footage but couldn't make anything out. Was this someone else, or had Ryder used someone else's car to make himself look innocent? I brought the footage to the police station either way. The detective watched the footage twice and called Sienna and her father in for a second interview. I sat behind the glass watching. The detective showed Sienna the footage. "We have video of you arriving home at 9:45 from a different vehicle. You looked injured in this footage. Who drove you home at 9:45? Sienna started shaking. She wouldn't answer. All of a sudden, she lunged into her dad's arms and started sobbing so hard she couldn't breathe. Her dad put his arm around her. "Sienna, it's okay, baby. Daddy's got you." He embraced her for a minute, and everyone stopped asking questions, giving her the minute she very clearly needed. Finally, she pulled away, and her dad wiped her tears with a tissue. "Sienna, who did this to you? Who did it, baby?" She looked around, and finally she said it. "Someone named Dante." My stomach dropped. Dante was my other son. He was 22. He had serious anger issues and had just left for a work trip a few days ago. "I've been seeing Dante for 2 months." Behind Ryder's back, Sienna cried. "That night after Ryder dropped me off, I went to meet Dante. We got into an argument and he beat me. Then he threatened me. He said if I told anyone it was him, he'd come back and finish it. He said blame Ryder or he'd make it worse." I was so scared. Sienna's dad went pale. "My God, I almost destroyed an innocent kid." The detective looked at me. "Where is Dante now?" Full story on channel linked below.